Hey, welcome back to the Breaking 1000 podcast. I'm Mark Brewer. I've got Hunter Wilson and Scott Wilson with me today, and we're ready to jump in. Here's what we have experienced a lot of times with pastors. You got a staff member that may not be playing well, or they may not be executing well on their current role, and it just might be that the grace is lifted. What do we do next?
Well, maybe you could explain what that means first. What do you mean grace is lifted?
Yeah, you're using probably
It's insider language.
Might know it, but in the insider language you're using is something that I did. Okay, I'll just back up and say why this came up.
Yeah.
In the tenure of me being pastor, one of the things we had is a school of ministry. You ran it for several years. You were in it and graduated, got your master's degree in that program. But in that program, we had over, I don't know, some people have said 500. I don't know.
We've had some hundreds.
Hundreds of people leave. Well, if you have hundreds of people leaving to go take full-time ministry jobs, you're having people leave almost every month, every quarter for sure. That's true for us, right?
Yes.
So here's what started happening. I'm celebrating it because to me, I'd always say the greatness of a church is not its seating capacity, but its sending capacity, which was great, except for everybody started building up. Listen, what you celebrate gets done and gets repeated. So people started going, the way to win around here is to leave, you know? And I'm going, no, that's not true.
Right.
I don't want everybody going. We need people staying.
Yeah.
And then people say, but in most churches it is the way to win around here is you're staying. But I think the way to win is to be obedient. So if you're supposed to, I know a lot of people on staff that I'm going, that person stayed too long. They should have left. And other people that left, and I'm going, why did they shouldn't have left. They should have stayed, you know, they just didn't want to tough it out. And so we see that all the time. So really what I'm saying is I think what you got to celebrate is obedience. So we celebrate obedience. So I had to do this because people started saying like they're leaving because I'm celebrating. Hey, we're so thankful. Listen, we're going to pray them and send them out like this.
And this is staff members or the school of ministry kid, you know.
Exactly, all of it. But even a school of ministry kid is an intern at that level where they've been here 4 years. They're now at a high level.
You're
They're
raising
like an
them
assistant
up.
staff.
They become on
They've
staff.
got all kinds of responsibilities. So people are going, golly, that's an impact to us, okay? So we didn't want to stop that, but what we want to do is let's raise the level of the goal is obedience. And so the way I'd explain it is every month we had all staff, and that's where we would celebrate it anyway that way or do it. So at all staff, I started doing it every single month, whether we had somebody sitting out or not, as I would talk like this. I would go, everybody put your hands like this. And right, we did it every time. And so I said, with every assignment, and everybody would do that, comes grace. When the grace lifts, go find the grace. Right, we did that as a staff.
We got really good at it.
Yeah, and everybody knew. They would go, you know, make fun of it or whatever. But I was trying to get them to physically engage, mentally engage, and emotionally engage into. I am winning if I'm where I'm supposed to be, where the grace is on my life. And so I would start describing what does it look like when the grace lifts. We've all been on staff together for so long. We've seen it with times where people who. We haven't changed. You're just irritated now with what we are doing. And the only thing that changed is you now don't like what we're doing, even though you've been doing it with us this time. You know, it's because of grace.
It's not working.
Yeah.
This is not working anymore. Why? Because it goes back to this idea of obedience. Maybe God is asking you to do something, but this is comfortable. You're used to this, and yet it's not working.
So one of the ways, basically, it doesn't feel the same around here.
Doesn't feel the same. People start saying stuff like this. Man, we used to be all close around
so
here.
these
It's
are
not
the signs.
same way.
Yeah, share some
like
of the
nostalgia.
signs.
Man, we used to really be close. I don't feel close anymore. Number two, things change around here all the time. I can't even get,
like clinging to the old.
Clinging to the old. But it can also be in the sense of, I just feel like I can't keep up. Or they may not say keep up. Y'all are continuing to do. Y'all are more into growing than you are about us being healthy. You know, there can be that, but sometimes it's just no. You can't keep up. We're going 90 miles an hour. You're going 60.
And it seems like that sometimes, and the things that were tolerable before, have now become intolerable, and you're spending a lot of sideways energy managing around those dynamics.
I'll tell you one of the big ones that happens for people who are big, like top leaders. is they start getting irritated with all the other staff, like seeing other things that other people are doing and going like, I'll tell you what, if I was running kids ministry, if I was running that ministry, I would do blah, blah, blah. You know what that means many times? The grace is lifted off of them being in that position because God's preparing them to become a lead pastor. And so now they're seeing it in a broader sense, not just a departmental.
So when they're in their role, but they start getting annoyed at things not working in all the other roles, it may be that God is asking them to level up.
Yeah, but they usually don't see it that way.
That's interesting.
They're seeing it as I'm just irritated with everybody else. If they would get their act together like I got it, then blah, blah, blah. But what I have as an insight as a pastor is many times talking to them that the grace is lifting because God's gracing them to have a broader, bigger view. They didn't even have that perspective. They didn't even see what other people were doing except for God's bringing that in them. So here's the thing that Mom would talk about with when you were going to college.
Who's Mom? You're talking about your wife?
Thank you. My wife, your mom. When you and Dylan and Dakota, all three of y'all were graduating high school and about to go, she'd get all, oh my gosh, my babies are leaving. I hate this. Except for y'all became such a pain in the butt with your attitude and so forth. I mean,
can we say butt on this podcast?
We just
did.
But
okay. Just making sure.
That's not just us. That's like in everything. You're probably getting emotional about Teddy, who's now 4 years old. Man, one day he's going to go. Yeah. Well, God made it that in that year of transition, it gets so cantankerous of them wanting independence. And this is like, get out of here. Okay.
This is so
That's
good.
kind of what happens in grace lifting in a staff.
Yeah.
So here's what I wanted to do is I would talk to people. You know when the best time to talk to people about them leaving?
You're going to tell us.
The first day they come to work.
It's really good. You want to mark that. You want to check that. Lead pastor. The best time to talk to them about leaving is the first day they come to work.
Because the thing you're doing is they're going like, why are you talking about that? Because it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to leave. I'm going to leave someday.
Yeah.
You're going to leave. It's 100% on. We're leaving. Whether it is even you're here the rest of your life, you die, you're leaving. Okay. So let's talk about leaving. When you're leaving, this is what we're going to say, and you're going to hear it every month or all the time around here. With every assignment comes grace. When the grace lifts, go find the grace. You're trusting me to come on staff here as your pastor to come on to. Will you trust me when you sense that grace is leaving?
So good.
When it's lifting and you may be leaving, don't go put your resume out. Don't go interview places. Don't do that and then come tell me I'm leaving. Come to me and say, hey, I sense the grace is lifting. Can you pray with me? I promise you this. You can trust me. I'm not going to fire you at that moment. Say, go clear. You're great. You're feeling something's changing. Get out of here. No, you're going to have to do your job for sure. We're going to keep doing that. But when it's doing, come and talk to me. In the same way, let me tell you this. If I start seeing the grace lifting or feel the grace lifting with you, I'm going to call you in to talk too. Because I only care. My biggest priority is you being where God wants you to be.
How do you, when you help pastors inside of this, how do you help them to build a culture that feels safe enough to where somebody's going to actually fulfill that? Because I could see that just being a huge eye roll of like, there's no way I'm going to do that.
Well, how many times have
Talking
you heard
about the
the
staff or
story?
the pastor?
Well, I mean, you have to, as a lead pastor, you have to build a culture that feels safe enough to do that.
We got to both play by the same rules.
Yeah, it's a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
So like maybe me as a staff member didn't come tell you, but maybe on the other side is every time somebody does come and tell you, you freak out and you let them go.
I hear horror stories from the pastors I work with
All the time
and
we're
they're
hearing that.
not just the pastors but staff talking about how or a pastor won't do this because they remember going and telling a pastor when they were a youth pastor or a kids pastor and they got cut.
It's rarely modeled, so not a lot of people do it.
So it has to flow from the lead pastor. So it has to start there. You can't start, hey, pastor, could we have this kind of culture? No. I mean, they have to lead it. So the lead pastor has to have the vision for it. Secondly, they've got to cast the vision, which means they're saying this is the kind of organization culture we want to have. Is that as a lead pastor, I'm not just here to lead our church and to use you as a staff member as the machinery to accomplish my vision, but my primary vision is my family and then you, and then to the church. So that means I'm here to pastor you in the calling that God's put on your life. And it should be, as long as the assignment has the grace in this place, then guess what happens? Your calling and the calling of this house is in alignment.
Yeah.
When it's not in alignment anymore, Don't try as a staff member to get the church to get in alignment with you. Figure out where God's putting you, because he's got a place for you. And the trust has got to be there that if the grace is somewhere else, that God's got a place for you with grace that's awesome, and God's going to bring somebody else here. So it's got to start with the pastor. But secondly, when you cast that vision, do you know how many times people want to cast a vision, but the systems they have still reinforce an old vision?
It's another marker right there. Pastors, you cast a vision, but your system can't handle the vision.
Right, but your system is set up for a different. So my vision before was, hey, let's get the best person in here. If they're not working, let's get them out, blah, blah, blah. And we're just transactional again, okay?
Yeah.
But if I have a vision that I want to have a culture that we trust each other, and I care about you, trust me as your pastor, when you come trust me, you go, then number one, I got to fit that in now to a system that on the first day of their work, I'm saying it to them.
Yeah.
Can we agree on this?
Yeah.
Okay. And I sign an honesty policy, which we do, is that we're going to speak the truth in love to the last 10%, to the right person, the right time, the right way. And so when we're saying that, then we are practicing throughout our staff relationship honesty to each other.
Yeah.
That may not be easy, but the way I'm responding is, as long as you're sharing perspective, not trying to twist my arm, man, we can talk.
Yeah.
When we're doing that, we're reinforcing trust. So I do it up front, reinforce it every time we're doing it. Every month I'm doing assignment grade. They see people come talk to me and they don't get fired. And not only that, they see that when I'm talking about it and I let them have the mic when we're celebrating, they're going like, I've never had a pastor who loves me like this. Yeah. Y'all don't know it, but 3 months ago I went and he's been praying with me. We've been meeting and praying, and he actually helped me find where I'm going. I mean,
So inside of this, you're trying to build a culture of helping people to recognize what it means and what it feels like when the grace is lifting. You're establishing that up front, and it doesn't even matter if you talk about it if you don't live it out and have systems for it. But practically, once people do come and have that conversation, you probably had that conversation 50, 100,
over
whatever.
Over
100 times. Are you really like helping?
I'm going to tell you, half of those are not going to be that they initiated it. I can feel the grace lifting.
So you can see the signs and hear
There's
from
only
the Lord.
one time out of 100+ times I didn't know it was happening. And that one, I don't think the grace was lifting. I think they got scared and felt like the only way they had been on intern with me for 6 years before this. So I think they still saw themselves as an intern, even though I saw them as one of the greatest staff members that was going to be ever. And I think he felt like the only way I'm ever going to get truly respected is if I go to a different church. And so God blessed him in doing that. He's awesome. It's fantastic. But I think that's because that was a choice he made, not like a grace lifting. Otherwise, 100% of the time, I already knew the grace is lifted. They either came to me because I was saying, okay, it's coming. I was praying, God, let it come to me, or I came to them. And out of that means that some of those people go, yeah, I'm kind of feeling it. And some of those goes, no, the grace isn't lifting. I've got kids still in school. What's that to do with grace lifting? The grace isn't lifting. My wife has a job.
So the grace is lifted, the grace is lifting, but there may be mitigating circumstances that cause people to not make a move. Yeah.
And so as a lead pastor, as a pastor, part of my job is to say, okay, let's start. I just want you to know I'm feeling something here. What's going on? It's either there's a tension or a problem we need to resolve, or it's a change of grace that there's somewhere else, and you need to talk to your wife, or you need to talk to your husband, and y'all need to start praying about it.
Yeah, I wonder, like, how does this feel like as the leader of basically, in my mind, in almost like in a movie, I can see like if somebody's coming to have that conversation, it's like they press start on a time bomb that's going down to zero. And if this lasts like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, it's like, dude, I don't want somebody on our team that doesn't want to be here and the grace is lifting. Are you like actively helping them to find a job? Are you just praying with them? Like, what are you doing inside of that?
First of all, if there's an attitude, it's done. Like if they start having an attitude, I'm bringing them in and say, look, grace is lifting and you're not being able to handle it. Okay. So this is totally different. Let me give you severance. I'm going to give you this, by the way, severance is the best time to talk about severance is when?
At the beginning,
the first day they were at work, they signed the personnel agreement. So for some churches that I work with, I talk to them about, hey, every year they're there, give them a week severance. After that, you can always change it and do more. Yeah. But the problem is when you don't have it in writing, then it becomes emotional in the moment, and everybody's going, well, they're my friend, I feel bad.
Emotional for you is making
emotional
decision.
for me, and emotional for the board, and emotional for staff.
Right.
And so they're my friend. They helped. Can we do it?
So if we're starting to have an attitude issue, then that's probably going to fast track to your point. That's going to move the time.
Here's how it goes. That's going to be the time up on this. I don't even want you here anymore. So what I'm going to do is activate the severance, and I'm going to help you get to your next place. I still love you, but this isn't working. This is hurting you, your family, and our church. Yeah. And so what I'm going to do is give you 3 months gliding into a pathway to your next. So I'm going to cover 3 months so you can go full time on praying and seeking. Okay, that's that. If there isn't an attitude deal, it's really we're just trying to figure it out. Then we just keep walking together, and God will grace them to be able to do the job, but it's going to be harder for them because it's not great, because God's not going to lift it where they feel it great. It's that they can still do the job because they have character, they have integrity, and we're functioning.
So what I'm hearing
way.
You say is that when you sense this, or they sense this, when you guys mutually start sensing this, your role as the lead pastor is to lean in. You're the shepherd of the sheep. You lean in when you see that one of the sheep may be confused or discombobulated.
And I wonder too, because I know the context of what you're meaning, but I know you've also helped a lot of pastors where it's like, gosh, transitions are so hard because every time somebody leaves, we celebrate them on a Sunday morning and bring them up on stage. Do that. Yeah, can you talk about, because you said I talk about when the grace lifts, and I celebrate that.
That's in staff meeting.
Yeah, talk about the difference Sunday. Between who would you talk about on a Sunday versus who would you talk about just with
when
the
we
team?
Were a smaller church, you're running 100, 200, 300, whatever. And if you're hearing that, you may do it a little different, maybe even at 500, because everybody knows each other so tight, and one staff member who's full-time staff is not just the youth pastor. They're doing a whole lot of stuff. So that may be a little different. You may have to announce it that way if you need to. But once you get to a place that you have multiple staff and doing that, unless somebody is a teaching pastor or they're like up and it's hitting everyone in a way, then I wouldn't even communicate. Even then, I don't know how much I would communicate. Say, man, so thankful for them. They're going to go teach over here, and that great. Come on.
Why would you not celebrate them if people are thinking that?
Because
from the stage, you're saying.
From the stage, we're going to celebrate behind the scenes. We're going to may even celebrate departmentally. But from the platform, really, it should be our church functions. God's called the pastor with the assignment to lead the church. The reason why you have staff is because they're called to the pastor to be an extension of his ministry. So staff are going to come and go. We understand this in every other organization in the world but the church. Because in the church, everybody goes like, if somebody's a good person, then they should be able to stay here forever because we're a family, not a business. That doesn't have anything to do with people are called for a season for a reason. So they were here because where we're at right now, we needed them for this. But what got us here may not be the person who needs to get us where we're going, and where they are. And it goes both ways. I always say it's bilateral. It's true. Because if it's true for us right now, it's in the season for the reason of what we need. Guess what? It's also the season of the reason of what they need to grow. And it may be that they're growing right now in preparation for their next assignment. Okay? So don't get me wrong. There's times that I fire people. Okay. There's times that I'll say,
and that's going to be another podcast. We're going to do that one.
The grace is lifted and you're gone. Okay. Because you're not handling it well, Sometimes it will be, hey, I see it and I want you to go full. Like if it's suffering, if the ministry's suffering and I'm already seeing it, then I'm going to give you severance. I may even give them a little bit more so that you can go full time in pursuit. And I'll be praying for you. And if you need me as a reference, you got it. And I'll help you. Okay. If it's something though, that's local, or is going good and they're doing good and we're just working it, I might go 6 months. It's probably not going to go longer than 6 months. Probably that's the longest it's ever been. Listen, this is a God factor, guys. This isn't about how am I maneuvering things. If the grace is lifting, it's because God's got grace somewhere else. It's our job to get in God's presence to find where it is. So the call's coming, the opportunity's coming. They've got to get activated to say, not my will, not my way, your way. I'll go wherever you want. And once they do that, the opportunity comes and it all comes together. God does it. If not, then I'm going to help them like a mama bird, mama eagle out of the nest so they can fly, and not everybody is always excited about it. But let me tell you something. Since I started doing this conversation, we used to have people leave and it's like, how you got, man, that person split the church or that person's mad and angry. Wouldn't you say it's like 90% to 95% when we started doing this, it started going that even if it was a transition, it was with a process we did that helped them, and they love
probably
us.
It's probably higher than that. But what you're saying is, when they leave, by the way, leaving is never easy. I don't care how good it is, how much love. Yeah, there's just grief
because there's a loss.
Yeah, so you're going to navigate through that. But as far as relationally intact and we are still family and can do things together, I don't even have anybody in my mind.
When we're in
really.
District council and stuff, Mom, again, my wife, your mom, she'll always say stuff like, you're the most loved former pastor people have. I mean, because people will come up from all over. They'll be texting, are you here, pastor? They'll introduce me to their kids. This is our pastor. Well, I haven't been their pastor for 15 years. It's just to them, no one has loved, cared, helped, and processed for their life like that, So I maybe we've hit it here. I don't know if there's anything else you want to ask.
It's good. I like this. I think... So just land the plane for us here real quick. The grace is lifting. Key takeaways, just landing it here.
Well, first of all, you got to buy into the fact that we're not on transactional job here, that there's a calling of God and a timing of God, and that this is a kingdom of God. Staff are they're not people I own. I steward the relationship and the time that God's given me to pour into them, help them to grow. And there is a timeline that God will call them somewhere else or in some other season. You're probably the only person that's been here from the beginning who's here because God didn't call you to a church. He called you in relationship with me in this deal.
But we've had 5 times, 6 times over the years where I've said, hey, I'm not sure, or we're not sure where we're going.
Well,
and
it's because you went to another church to help plant a church, or you went to do another assignment. There were different assignments and different things. And so each time we had the conversations, though, and said, what is God doing? And it's open-handed. This isn't about me getting what I want. And it's not about you getting what you want. It's about us finding out what God wants.
Right.
So number one call to action on this to me would be, is this a philosophical truth for you that is a principle you lock into that you believe is right? Then how do you need to adapt your mind, your systems, your practices in relationship with your staff and in your communication to support it?
So good.
And then set your heart up that, okay, if this is true, then I believe truth is bilateral. When the grace is lifting for them, it is also lifting that, oh my gosh, I don't know what we're going to do. God's got somebody else that the grace is now coming upon them for this assignment.
If it's good for them, it's good for you.
Yes.
It's good to remember, and you pastor that well. Hey, this has been awesome, man. Great conversation today. And if you have something that you'd like us to tee up, just shoot us an email at hey, at readysetgrow.church, and we look forward to talking about that in a future podcast. Thank you, guys. It's been good. See you on the next one.